Hello there, hope you're doing really good today. Daniel here, and we are going to look at two comments from a few days ago. One is from Callie and the other one is from Amanda. So let's look at this one from Callie first, and to give you a little bit of background, Callie was going on vacation. I think this was about a week ago, a little more, and I made a quick video. Actually, you know what? I remember it was Thursday, I think this past Thursday, and she wasn't going on vacation. She was worried about not sleeping during vacation. So you can check that video out for a little bit of background. But here is the comment. Hey Daniel, I ended up sleeping super good on vacation, which I'm excited about. I have a question, which I'm not sure if you can help me with. When I lay down, all of a sudden my anxiety kicks into hyperdrive and my heart starts racing a million miles. And I try to tell myself it's okay, but it just doesn't want to calm down. So I guess it's so worried about not sleeping, especially after a poor night of sleep. We're gonna talk about that in a second. I just first of all wanted to, actually there was more, sorry. There was kind of two comments. Heart's racing, it seems like it's worried, especially after a poor night's sleep. And then if I just lay there, it will not stop, especially if I'm super worried. It's so hard for my brain to realize that it's just anxiety, but even though I understand it's anxiety, it doesn't stop me from not worrying. I think it goes. So a couple of things here. First, again, I was super glad to hear that you slept well during your vacation. That is nice, and that I don't know if this happened to you, Callie, but to anybody out there, if you sleep good while on vacation, or while you sleep good when you're at home, or if you sleep good under this or this circumstance, it tells you that, or tells us that you can sleep. Like there's nothing wrong with your, it's not like you have a hormonal imbalance or neurotransmitter deficiency or something is wrong with your sleep, sleep switch or something like that. So that is, for anybody out there, if you can find one circumstance under which you sleep good, use that to your advantage. Use that as a foundation. Tell yourself that I can sleep. So just a comment on that. Really glad to hear that again. And now going over to this other part of this, which is like this things, the part that's related to anxiety. I'm a sleep specialist. I'm not an expert when it comes to anxiety, but I'm learning more and more because it is so common that people have both, and it's very common for anxiety to be like the trigger behind insomnia. And so I know you've already listened to this one, Callie. I think you comment on episode pod 12, but for anybody out there that has not heard that one, it's a discussion between myself and Nick Wignall, who's a psychologist, sorry. I think he had some really good tips there, episode pod 12. But there's something else I want to share, which I made a video about this, I think last week, which I think I titled it automatic thoughts. If not, it's about automatic thoughts. And so here's what I'm learning, what I've just read about. Oftentimes when we wake up at a certain time and then already kind of like waking up in kind of an anxious state, oftentimes this is triggered by a certain thought that may not be obvious, and that's the automatic thought. So sometimes somebody wakes up at 2 a.m. and automatically thinks, oh my gosh, I'm not going to work tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to go work tomorrow. Or I'm not going to fall asleep again, or something. Like there is some type of thought that is there automatically when you wake up. And that then triggers that thought, even though you can't really pinpoint exactly what you were thinking, that thought triggers an emotion, and that could be anxiety, and then there's a physiological response to the anxiety, which is like palpitations and like maybe sweating or like just feeling jittery, things like that. And here's the important thing, that these automatic thoughts typically are, or I think the way I understand it, actually they are caused by a belief. And to give you one example, it could be that a person has had insomnia for a long time and they believe that there's something wrong with them and they can't sleep. And then when they wake up at 2 a.m., automatically that triggers that thought that that's it, I'm not going to be able to sleep, because and that automatic thought is triggered by a belief, which is that a person can't sleep. Now, so what's good in knowing this or talking about this? Well, it is because what I'm learning is that if you can find the automatic thought, that the thought that kind of triggers the anxiety, then you may be able to find the underlying belief, like the reason why you have this automatic thought. And when you know what that belief is, then you can question it. So in the previous example, the person that believes that they can't sleep and that triggers that automatic thought at night, that then becomes kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, if they can question that core belief, if they can question that they can't sleep and find evidence to the contrary, then the whole thing can start to crumble. Like the whole construct that's producing sleep anxiety can start to crumble. So in that example, again, if somebody can say, I noticed, I've identified that my core belief is that I can't sleep, and then can find evidence that, actually that's not entirely true, because this and this day I actually slept. And then, working with that could trigger less automatic thoughts and less of anxiety and things like that nature. So I'm hopeful this sharing this is helpful to you, Callie, to anybody else that hears this. And then actually one more thing, Callie wrote here, it's so hard for my brain to realize that it's just anxiety, but even though actually the previous thing, if I just lay there at night, it will not stop, especially if I'm super worried. Well, that's another thing I talked to Nick about in that episode pod 12 again, which is there's no way to kind of think yourself out of anxiety. There's no way to think yourself out of insomnia. So what you have to do is do something. Basically, if you're laying down, if you're in bed, it's like 1:30 a.m., you woke up, you feel super stressed and worried, anxiety and anxious, kind of like just laying there and telling yourself to stop worrying, to stop like that, it doesn't work. So you have to do something. You have to do something to distract yourself. That is the way to get past that. So yeah, hope this helped, and stay in touch. And then we are gonna look at another comment from 3 days ago. And actually, I think there's actually multiple comments. And this is also a comment to the same episode, Insomnia episode Insomnia Insight number 237. And it is Amanda who wrote the following. And by the way, to give you some context here, the episode is about how the problem with like medications and supplements and things we use to make ourselves sleep is that if we start believing that those things actually are what makes us sleep, we transfer confidence to them. We start believing that we can't sleep by ourselves, and all the confidence becomes harbored in that thing, that supplement, that medication it is, and then become very vulnerable, because if we don't sleep well, even though we're taking this medication or supplement, then we're like completely lost. We have to try to find another medication or supplement, and what we should do is kind of do the opposite, like transfer sleep confidence to ourselves. And I think the way to do that, and I'm thinking a lot about this lately, but what I've come up with so far is just knowing that all sleep, even if you've taken medications for a long time, that sleep is still produced by yourself, because medications cannot produce sleep. So I hope that's a good way to like transfer sleep confidence back to oneself, back to yourself. Okay, so in background of that, let's read here. The confidence we put on these meds is really an addictive thing and really hard to let go. I wish I'd never tried benzodiazepines. I still cannot sleep even one night naturally. I'm not going to give up, but it's really hard. And there's two more comments here, but just to comment on what I just read here, I still cannot sleep even night naturally. You know what? I totally get what you're saying here, but all sleep is natural, meaning I like this example that I use sometimes. If somebody took any type of medication every 8 hours, let's say you took Ambien 10 milligrams at 10 p.m., at 6 a.m., and at 8 p.m. Oh, I said that wrong. 10 p.m., let's say 6 p.m., and let's say 4 p.m. or something like that. Would you sleep all the time? Of course not. you know, you wouldn't actually sleep more, much more at all. Maybe, you know, studies show maybe a few minutes more, but you wouldn't sleep 24 hours, not at all. And this is because medications cannot produce sleep. Even when somebody takes the medication and then sleeps, it's simply because that it's about confidence. It's about you believe that the medication will make you sleep. It's about sedation, you know, that plays a role too. But all sleep really is natural. All sleep is produced by yourself. And again, I'm saying this because I hope that will bring back sleep confidence to yourself, you know? And so that said, I'm going to continue here with another comment. She said, an upload. I went to my psychologist. She works with CBT. I was really tired that day. She told me that some people need meds for a long time and that's okay. I felt upset. She basically told me to continue taking and even increase the dose like a neurologist had told me because they can't identify the cause why I don't feel sleepy. I even thought about idiopathic insomnia since I started having this when I was a child with no external reason. I'm trying CBT for almost 3 months and I had some good nights of sleep, but this happens like twice or once a week. Like I told you, I'm not going to give up. But for the doctors, the solution always seems to be more and more sleeping pills, which don't solve the problem. I agree with you 100%. I think that, you know, it's a big problem that people that are psychologists or psychiatrists or even CBT therapists very, very often don't really get any education on cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia or insomnia for that matter. So there's a real lack, even among like mental health providers, about insomnia. And, you know, I'm not excusing kind of the medical community here, but I want to say that the individual provider, like the individual psychologists and psychiatrists and whatnot out there, they have not been trained, and you know how it is. Like when you don't know anything, it's foreign to you. Like you don't know what to do, and then you may end up like doing something that may necessarily not be the best thing. So I think the root problem here is that people are just not trained. You know, it's a huge problem. But on a more positive note here, I'm trying CBTI for almost 3 months, and I've had some good nights, but this happens like twice or once a week. I think it's really, really amazing that you've had some good nights of sleep, and it sounds like the kind of terrible nights or the bad nights happen twice or once a week, which is not good by any means. But the more we focus on the fact that there are some good nights, there are good nights out there, the more we focus on that, the more we focus on progress, positive things, typically the better we do. And by the way, I believe actually now that the reason that focusing on the good is so important is because, again, it builds sleep confidence. Like the more you think about, that night was good, I actually could sleep that night, I'm making progress, your confidence grows, and it's all about that confidence. And again, like I should have said this in the beginning of the episode, but you know, I can't, nothing here is medical advice, it's just me sharing thoughts. But I really believe that let me just share this, that when I have patients in clinic that are taking a medication and they have insomnia, my first goal is to just get them to sleep well on the medication. I try not to change that, and I do the cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, spending less time in bed, working on like being active during the day, etc. While they're on the medication. And when they're like, you know what, they seem to have good sleep confidence, they're doing good, then you can taper off the medication. Just sharing that. Okay, so I think that was it for this episode. Callie, Amanda, thanks so much for commenting. That is so helpful, and really, as I say, it brings life to the channel. There are many other people that have very similar questions, so it's really good that we can talk about them here. That said, I believe that I will be back with a video episode later tonight. If not, I'll definitely be back in tomorrow. Until then, take it easy. Bye-bye.